Okay, so welcome to page 174, May 4th, Monday, 2020. The first word, we're going to skip down to number 2, is the word separate. What's the word? Excellent, right? Separate, which is to pull apart or to split or to kind of cut off or break up, to remove, separate yourself from the room. Sometimes people don't get along anymore when they're married. They divorce. That's a word. That's a synonym for separate. Great way to think about it when you're cooking something. Sometimes when you're baking something, you have to separate the egg white from the yolk. Separate. Let's go. Sep-a-rate. Separate. We use a. So let's go. Number 2. Sep-a-rate. Separate. Okay, so we have 3 things to mark up. Beautiful. Third sound. Underline the A and the silent E twice. Draw an arrow back. Why? You got it. Now, the next word is very fascinating to me. I had forgotten about this. Is the word separate. What's the word? Exactly. So, for example, you might stay in a separate room from your mom or your dad or your grandmother. All right? It means when it's unconnected or it's unrelated. Sometimes we talk about different things and they're separate. They're separate. It doesn't have anything to do with one another. Okay, we drove to school or we drove to my aunt's house in separate cars. Okay, separate. Let's go. Sep-ar-et. Separate. So let's go. Sep-ar-et. Separate. Okay, so how do we mark this up? Excellent. Underline the R and the silent E twice. Job number 5. So what do we do with these 2 words? Exactly. They are spelled the same, yet they sound different. They are heteronyms. Okay? Heteronyms. Now, going back to the word separate, and again, you will be able to tell from the context of what you're reading, okay? You don't say you're going to separate the egg white from the yolk. You're going to separate it, okay? You're not going to say, we went in separate cars. Okay. So, going back to the word separate, all right? When you break something apart like that, it's called a separation. All right, let's go. Sep-a-ra-shan. Separation. So let's go. Sep-a-ra-shan. Separation. Don't forget to dot your I and cross your T. We have 3 things to mark up. Awesome. Third sound. Underline the A and the sh. The A can say A. Good old reliable rule 4. And notice that we dropped the silent E. That is rule 13. Okay. And what do we do with separate? What do we do with separate and separation? Good, half brace. All right, the next word is the word delight. What's the word? It's excellent. It's the word delight. Okay, and when you delight in something, you take joy in it. You're excited about it. You're thrilled. It's happiness. It's pleasure. Your parents, I'm sure, always delight in the fact that you do well in school. Okay? So sometimes when you're so blown away by something, it takes your breath away. That's the delight, the joy that it brings to your life. Delight. Whoops. Delight. There we go. Okay, first syllable. Excellent. D. Second syllable. Light. Okay, so how do we mark this up? Excellent. Underline the E and the I. The E can say E at the end of a syllable. You got it. That is rule 4. So the next word is the word capital. What's the word? Yes, capital, like a capital letter. All right, so a great synonym for that is uppercase, capital. Let's go. Cap-I-tal. Yes, I'll call the capital cops on you. Let's go. Cap-I-tal. Capital. Okay, uppercase. Now the next word is the word capital. What's the word? Excellent. Like every state has a capital city. In New York State, the capital is Albany. Okay? In New Jersey, the capital is Trenton. In the United States, the whole country, the capital is Washington, D.C. Okay? Capital. Let's go. Capital. 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 Okay? And again, uppercase letters. Think of it, I always think of A as being the first letter. Okay? And a capital is sort of the center of everything. Okay? So you could think of the O as being that way. So what do we do with these two words? Excellent. Brace. Okay? These two words sound the same, but they're spelled differently. It is a homophone. Okay, homophone. All right, so let's go. Capital, 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 capital. Delight, delight. Excuse me. Separate, 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 separation, separation. Do that. Separation, separation. All right. Okay, so the next word is the word poem. What's the word? Yes. We know that a poem can often have rhyming words. It doesn't always have to have it, but it often can. And a poem tells a story. Poem. Poem. The last line in the poem, the last stanza was beautiful. First syllable, po. Second syllable, m. All right, so how do we mark this up? Excellent. Underline the O. You got it. Rule 4. Okay, the next word, someone who writes a poem, is called a poet. Awesome. Poet. Poet. So let's go. Poet. Poet. How do we mark this up? You got it. Underline the O and a repeat symbol. Okay, now someone who writes a poem is called a poet, and all those poems are called, yes, poetry. Let's go. Poet. Sorry about that. Poetry. 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 All right, so let's go. Poetry. Poetry. How do we mark this up? You got it. And rule 4. And when someone says something that's lovely, like a thing of beauty is a joy forever. They say it in a poetic way. Poetic. Let's go. Poetic. Poetic. Sorry about that. Poetic. Poetic. How do we mark this up? You got it. Underline the O. Rule 4. What do we do with these 4 words? Quadruple brace. Okay, so the next word is the word principal. What's the word? Yes, like the leader of a school, a principal. And a great way you can remember it is the principal should be your pal, like in a friend. That's how it ends. Okay, but principal is a chief, a boss, a leader, the dominant one, a key, important, it's crucial, it's vital, it's important. Very often the first. So for example, the principal role of a teacher is to teach children how to think. So the word is principal. Let's go. Principal. Principal. So let's go. Dot the I. Pal. Principal. And if you're thinking of the person, principal, the principal is your pal. Okay? I see a rule over here. Beautiful job. Rule 2. You got it. Okay? And the last word is the word principle. What's the word? Principle. Okay? It's an idea. It's a truth. It's a method of doing something. Okay? And this is extremely important. Okay? So, for example, the Wright brothers discovered the principle of flight with wing warpage. Standing alone, standing up for yourself, standing for the truth or an idea is a principle. The founding fathers, Ruby Bridges, Louis Pasteur, Louis Braille, they all stood up for a principle of what they knew was the truth. Rosa Parks stood up for a principle of fair treatment, equal rights. Principle, let's go. Principle. Principle. So let's go. Principal. So we have one thing to mark up. You got it. Underline the silent E twice. Job number 4. Every syllable has to have at least one vowel. Okay? And again, we see a rule here. And these two words sound the same, but they're spelled differently. I am running out of room. That is a homophone. And by the way, a great idea, just getting back to the word separate, you have to separate your syllables with space in the spelling notebook. All right, so let's go. What do we do with these two words? Beautiful. Brace. Let's go. Principal. 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 Poetic. Poetic. Poetry. Poetry. Poet. Poet. It would help if it was in front of us. Let's do this again. Poetic. Poetic. Poetry. Poetry. Poet. Poet. And poem. Poem.